guys, in today's video I am doing a what I eat in a day. So first of all, breakfast, obviously. I'm going to show you one of my favourite breakfasts, and it's a really easy breakfast to make, and I think you guys are going to love it. Okay, so I am just going to weigh out 50 grams of rolled oats. I just use this Greek fat-free yogurt, and I'm going to add a couple of tablespoons of this into the mixture. So the yogurt just makes the oats really creamy, so I'm going to add a couple of tablespoons. If you want it creamier, just add more, and I'm going to add some milk just to make it a little bit easier to mix in. So as I said, I am using almond milk, but you can use your milk of choice. Remember to always shake the milk. So I eyeball this, so what I would recommend is probably adding a little bit by little bit, and when you get your desired consistency, just stop. So I'm going to start off with that. You kind of want it to be like a porridge, like how you would make regular porridge, that kind of consistency. The only difference is that it's cold and you're using yogurt as well. Remember that the oats will absorb some of the milk, so if it's too runny, don't worry, just keep mixing and eventually you'll see that it becomes thicker. This is a good consistency for me, so now I'm going to go in with some maple syrup to sweeten it up. Again, with the maple syrup, I'd say eyeball it. It's up to you how sweet you like it, and you can always add more. So start off with a little bit. I love maple syrup for sweetening up like porridges and things like that. I think it works really well. So I'm going to start with a tablespoon. Because we're going to be adding the bananas and the berries, it actually doesn't need to be that sweet. I just have a really sweet tooth, so I need like the maple syrup to sweeten up the oats. I'll add a little bit more. So I've already washed my fruit and put in a colander so it could drain whilst I was making the oats. But I just need to cut the strawberries up because they are massive. Look how big that is. So I'm just going to cut them up and then add that to the bowl and then cut up the banana. I like to cut them up into bite-sized pieces because with me, when I have a spoon, I like to have a spoonful of everything. So I like to have a strawberry in it, a blueberry in it, and a raspberry in it, and a piece of banana in it, and some nuts in it. I like to have everything in one bite, so I cut it up a little bit smaller so I can fit that in. So I think that's enough for one person. I'm just going to cut up the banana. I have a little small banana. Okay, so this is my fruit of choice. I have some bananas, some strawberries, some raspberries and some blueberries, and I think this combination just works really well, and they're my favourite fruits. But you can obviously mix it up and add whatever fruit you have. Before I add the fruit and the berries in, I'm going to add in some peanut butter. I love the taste of peanut butter, so I think it just works really well with this. With these like natural peanut butters, it tends to separate, so you need to mix it really well before you add it in. Again, it's up to you how much peanut butter you want to add in. I am going to add in about a tablespoon, a little bit less than a tablespoon, and then mix it all in. So once the peanut butter has been nicely incorporated, I'm going to add in my fruit. Okay, and then to top it all off, I am adding in some nuts. This is just roasted unsalted mixed nuts with cashews, almonds, pistachios, and pecans. So I like to add this on just because I feel like it keeps me full for longer, so I'm less likely to snack, and it has healthy fats in it, but you don't want to add too many nuts because they are quite high in calorie. And that is breakfast done. As I said, I like to have everything in a spoonful, so I have a banana, a raspberry, strawberry, blueberry, and a cashew nut. I think one of the reasons that I love this so much is because it literally feels like having a dessert. It's so tasty, and it's actually really healthy for you because you have your oats, yogurt, milk. The only unhealthy thing would be maple syrup and the peanut butter, but it's not really unhealthy, and it just adds a little bit of sweetness. So I think it's a really nice meal to have, and you should definitely try it if you haven't already, because I am obsessed with it. Okay, so it's lunchtime now, and I am making my favourite chicken noodle soup. This is one of my go-to healthy meals just because it's so easy to make. It's quick. Once you've prepped everything, you just have to leave it on the stove and you can like chill. And did I say it's healthy? I think I did. It's really healthy because it's just got like loads of vegetables. First, I'm just going to cut up an onion. I just use one regular medium-sized onion and just chop this up. You don't need to be too neat with it. So next we have ginger. I'm just going to cut them into chunks. So I've peeled about 6 cloves of garlic, and I don't cut them because you're boiling it for a long time. The garlic gets really soft, it kind of melts in your mouth, so I like to keep them whole. I'm just gonna prep the vegetables. So I'm gonna cut up some spring onions. And then I have 3 stems of celery. I feel like celery is one of those essentials in these chicken noodle soups. It just adds a lot of flavour and it's really good for you. And then 3 carrots. Again, just chop them up roughly like we did with the celery. Okay, and then I'm going to cut up some corn. So I like to use the corn on the cobs rather than the tin ones because I feel like they have more flavour and they're tastier and sweeter. So what I'm going to do is just literally just chop off the corn from the cob. And I'm still going to use the cob that I've chopped off. I'm still going to use that in the broth because it will add to the flavour. And then finally we're adding in shiitake mushrooms. I think these are the best mushrooms to put in the soup personally. They're my favourite. And I just love how they absorb everything. They're so soft. It's kind of like having, like if you're vegetarian, instead of making chicken you can just add loads of mushrooms and it kind of becomes the meat, if you know what I mean, just because it becomes really tender and juicy. So I love adding mushrooms into my soups. I'm just gonna cut them up quite thickly. Okay, so I have my vegetables prepped and now I'm gonna go on to the chicken. And yeah, basically I just like to prep all the vegetables first because it makes everything easier. So now I prepped everything, I am going to fry off the chicken in my big pot. So I'm gonna put some of the olive oil into the pot. And basically what this does is when we're frying off the, oh yeah, did I say what I'm using? I'm using chicken thighs because chicken thighs are really good for chicken noodle soup because the meat is really tender. So as long as I'm boiling it, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really get dried out like chicken breast would. So I'm just gonna add in the olive oil. It's on a high heat because we wanna get the meat to go to like a nice golden color so it can release all its nice juices to make our chicken broth. Okay, so I've got my plate of chicken thighs. I'm just gonna add that in. Okay, that sizzles. Okay, so I'm gonna season the chicken with some salt. I'm using the pink Himalayan salt, and I've got about a teaspoon. I'm just gonna also going to add some black pepper. So like me, you might be tempted to stir the chicken. I am a stirrer. I love just moving food around. But with this, you need to keep it in for a while because you want the chicken to brown up. So if you move it, it's going to be cooked chicken but not brown chicken. So resist temptation and just let it brown off. So I'm just going to remove the chicken. So all the brown bits that you can see in the bottom of the pan is just the flavour, and this is what adds to the taste of the soup. And now I'm going to pop in the onions, ginger and garlic, just like cook that up a little bit so it can release some of its flavour. It does look like it's going to burn a little bit, just add a little bit of water. I'm just going to scrape the bottom. I'm actually so excited to eat this. So I'm going to add my plate of vegetables now. Add all of this into the pot. Just going to give that a nice mix just to incorporate that all in. Okay, and now I'm going to add in the chicken thighs. And I'm put the heat up to the maximum level now. So I'm just going to pour the boiling water into the pot now. So you just want to make sure everything's covered, so I might boil a little bit more actually. Okay, so I've added the extra water to the pot and I'm just going to add in a chicken stock cube and also some soy sauce. That's the seasoning that I'm going for. I've got some light soy sauce and I'm just going to add a couple of dollops in there. So it's been about half an hour. I'm just going to give it a little mix because I can't help myself, and I'm going to try the broth to see if I need to add anything else to it. It smells so good. I want to eat this now. That tastes so good. I can taste the chicken, the vegetables. So I'm gonna give it another half an hour. So I've removed the chicken from the pot, so it's obviously very hot, and I'm just gonna shred it. So I've shredded my chicken and I'm just gonna add that into the soup. Still leaving this on a low heat, and I'm just gonna heat up the noodles. not heat up, I'm gonna cook the noodles. Put the lid on. I'm just using some whole wheat noodles. I'm just gonna boil them and then it's ready to serve. Okay, so I've just added the noodles into my bowl and now I'm gonna go into the broth. Just scoop up. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm just gonna garnish this with some spring onions and also put some sriracha sauce over it because I love having my soup with sriracha. And there we go, that is my chicken noodle soup ready to eat. So we're gonna do a taste test. I know the broth tastes good already, but I just wanna taste everything together. So I have a little bit of carrot, a little bit of chicken, some onions, some spring onions. I'm not even saying it for the video, but I think this is the best chicken noodle soup I've made. It actually tastes so good. That is some really good soup. And what I love about this is that, obviously because I made quite a bit, there'll be enough for me to have for lunch tomorrow. So it's really good for like, if you're kind of busy like during the week, if you make one big pot, and especially if you live by yourself, it really lasts you the week for lunch, and every day it literally tastes better. And you can definitely freeze this. I've frozen some before. I've made a big batch before and I've frozen it, so that's what I love about it. But yeah, this is gonna taste even better tomorrow. So it's quite a bit later and I am going to start making dinner. That chicken noodle soup really filled me up, and in between I actually had a bubble tea, which I ordered in. I didn't show you guys that because I was just feeling really lazy. So for dinner I'm making some sweet potato and feta taquitos. So this is a vegetarian meal and I recently discovered this and I really like it. So I have the oven on, it's preheated at 200 degrees Celsius, and I have 4 sweet potatoes that I'm just going to peel and dice up into some cubes. I try and have as much vegetarian meals as I can. So like if I have meat for lunch, I like to have veggie for dinner. Okay, so you want to dice them into small bite-sized cubes because they're going to go into the wrap. And I'm just going to add them to my little glass bowl where I can mix all the seasoning in. I'm going to add some olive oil into the bowl. You can be quite generous because this is what's it's gonna cook in. So I'm gonna add some salt. This is pink Himalayan salt. Some black pepper. I'm gonna add 2 teaspoons of cumin seeds, and I'm gonna add 2 teaspoons of ground coriander powder. And then I'm gonna mix this all together. Probably should have used a bigger bowl. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is actually add them. This is what I'm gonna put them in the oven in this baking dish. So I'm just gonna pour this. I should have just put it straight in here actually. That would have been a lot easier and less washing. Just wanna make sure they're evenly spread out. And I'm gonna pop this into the oven now for about 20 minutes. Basically, you just want them to be soft. So if they're not done in 20 minutes, stick them back in. But usually 20 minutes works for me. So I'm gonna put that in the oven now. Okay, so whilst the sweet potato is in the oven, I am going to prep the things that we're gonna have with it. So it's going to be on a bed of lettuce, and then gonna have some salsa on the side. So I'm gonna make the tomato salsa, which is really easy. It's literally just tomatoes, coriander, and salt and olive oil. So I'm just chopping up some cherry tomatoes. I like the mixed ones, so they're like red, orange, and yellow. I just think it looks nicer. Just gonna add pink Himalayan salt, some coriander, which I will finely chop up. Gonna drizzle some olive oil and mix that all together. Okay, so that's basically your salsa done. So I'm gonna put that to the side. So for the chipotle mayonnaise, you will need some chipotle paste and some mayonnaise. And we also use some olive oil and salt and pepper, so it's a really simple sauce. I'm just gonna measure mine out because I like to get the right proportions. So we use 20 grams of the chipotle paste and then 30 mils of mayonnaise. Scales away, so I'm just gonna add some olive oil, about 2 teaspoons of olive oil, and then you just wanna mix it all together. So the sweet potato is cooked, it's nice and soft. So now we can start assembling the wrap. So literally, just grab a wrap and you'll put some sweet potato on the side. And with a fork, you kind of just want to mash it down a little bit so it kind of sticks to the wrap, like that. And then I'm going to add some feta, and then I'm going to add some of the spring onions. And then you want to just close the wrap. Kind of wrap it up into a little taquito. and you close it like that. So what I'm going to do is just assemble all of them. I think I have 8 wraps, so assemble all 8 wraps, and then I'm going to put them into the dish and put them back in the oven. Okay, so now this is literally just going to go in the oven because we want the edges of the wrap to brown up and just become crispy. Okay, so they are nice and crispy, and you can hear I have the lettuce that I cut up earlier on this plate, and I'm going to put the tomato salsa that I also made earlier and just plate that on, put it on top. And there's like little bits of juice that have come out of the tomato. I'm just gonna pour that over the lettuce. It kind of just gives it a little bit of seasoning. Okay, so that's basically 2 wraps that I just cut in half, and then I've got the chipotle mayonnaise that I'm just going to add on top. You just want to drizzle it. It's not really going to drizzle, it's going to more dollop. I mean, it might not be the most presentable looking food, but it is very tasty, let me tell you that. Okay, so taste test. I'm gonna grab this one. The crunch of the lettuce with the like softness of the sweet potato and feta just works so well together. I absolutely love it. And you guys know I love to have everything in one bite, so after I take a bite of this, I stick this in my mouth. Let's just look inside, look. It's such a nice, this is such a nice vegetarian meal, because I know a lot of people who are regular meat eaters don't like having veggie meals because they can be quite bland or boring, so they think. But this one is honestly so flavoursome, I absolutely love it.